other one right now, this one.
Hi, my name is Jamie Bilsbach, and I'm the Center Director for the Small Business Development Center. And joining me is Leanne Presley, who is the owner of Stitchcraft Marketing. And she's been a business and marketing strategist for over 25 years. She also happens to be a Small Business Development Center consultant, so she'll share more about that in a moment. You're attending the Understanding the Know, Like, and Trust concept. And we really hope that this is an interactive experience. So you can put your questions in chat, and unmute yourself, and you can also just raise your hand. So whatever you're comfortable with, please do engage with us. Leanne, next slide. Before we start, I just want to do a brief introduction as to what we do at the Central Mountain SPDC. We actually cover Chaffee, Lake, and Park counties, and we offer free confidential consulting. We offer free or low-cost training. And finally, we offer access to money and capital, including some of these federal programs like the PPP, which we just learned today. On Wednesday, it'll open for 2 weeks to small businesses with 20 or less employees to try to get small businesses through the PPP funding, which is fully forgivable if you follow their guidelines. Next slide. So without further ado, I'll let Leanne take it over. Again, thanks.
Thanks, Jamie. As always, I appreciate the opportunity to teach to your audience. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about what I call the know, like, and trust funnel, and then expanding a little bit on that as well. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about customer avatars for those people that don't know anything about that. We'll give you a brief introduction to that. We'll probably take about, 40 minutes or so is typically how long this one runs. And then we'll take time for questions. And I love to just brainstorm. If you've got a specific business with a particular problem that relates to the presentation, I'm happy to break things down for you. And we've got a couple polls in here too. So hopefully you have an opportunity to participate in those as well. All right, so let's get started. Oh, I'll also mention, Jamie always gave me this tip, just to let you know, I've got 2 screens here, so I'll do my best to forward face, but sometimes you'll be seeing the side of my head as I look at some of my notes, just to make sure that I get you all the facts and figures accurately. So let's get started. So like Jamie said, I'm Leanne Presley. I always like to do a little intro slide before I do my presentations, just so you know that Jamie didn't just drive on Highway 50 and drag me off the street to ask me if I would do a little presentation, that I actually know a little bit about the subject. I've been in marketing really my whole career, about 25 years now. I started off in the early 2000s doing website development and design. And then I quickly moved into agency life. I've had my own marketing agency, Stitchcraft Marketing, since 2009, and we really focus on the craft sector. So some of the examples that you'll see in the presentation today are giving you examples of fiber companies, yarn companies, quilting, fabric, those kinds of things. And we specialize in social media marketing. And then I've been a consultant with the SBDC since December of 2019, and I really enjoy that work. It gives me a great opportunity to work one-on-one with business owners in a lot of different sectors, which helps me stretch and grow. So I appreciate that. And I live in Salida, Colorado, with my husband, Scott, who works up at Monarch, and my 18-year-old daughter, Sophie, who just recently graduated from high school, and she is out of the nest and studying abroad right now. So, all right. Let's talk a little bit about what you're going to learn today in the session. The first thing we're going to talk about is what is a customer avatar or a persona. You may have also heard that referred to as a target market. I really think a lot of people don't understand what that is or how to identify it for your business. So we'll spend a couple slides just talking briefly about that. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to figure out the customer avatar specifically for your business. And then we're going to talk about the know, like, and trust funnel, which I think is really the foundation of all the marketing that you're going to be doing. And I love the know, like, and trust funnel because I think it will give you sort of a background paradigm or filter through which to funnel all of your marketing decisions through. So that will make sense as we get to that. And then in recent years, we've kind of expanded the know, like, and trust funnel at our agency into what we now call the figure 8 or the marketing hourglass concept. And I'm super excited to share that with you because you know, I think it's really the full picture of what's happening in marketing today. So I'm excited to go over that with you. So I've got a couple polls. The first one is, do you have an avatar? And do you know what it is? And if you do, what is their name? And Jamie, I can't remember if we're going to launch a poll or we're just going to ask for feedback in chat. I don't remember what we decided on that.
We were going to launch it, but it just gave me an error. I don't know if you're able to go under the three dots more.
Yeah, I've got a launch module here. So you should see the poll on your screen. So you can fill that out there and we get some instant results. It looks like 70% of people do not have an avatar. So good, this information will be helpful for you. A couple people do have an avatar, the same amount have a name. So that's good. I'm going to end the poll here. And then also, while I move on to the next slides, I also like to know a little bit about who's in the seminar and the presentation today and what kind of businesses you have. So if you don't mind, just take a quick second and jump into the chat. And there you can just kind of type in, just give me, you know, one or two lines, something I can read really quickly, what kind of a business you have. And then hopefully as we get deeper into the presentation, I'll check that in just a minute. And then we can give you some live examples. I like to do that sort of on the fly because I think that's the most helpful. So go ahead and fill that in and then we'll take a look at that just a second. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the client avatar, customer avatar, or the buyer persona. And in this exercise, what we do at the agency is we look at 4 different quadrants. And within those quadrants, we go a little bit further into each of these sections. And I'm going to walk you through how we do the exercise so that you really understand what all 4 of these are. But you can see it's demographics, characteristics, hopes, and pains. And the other thing I always recommend with your avatar, which I mentioned just earlier, is to name your avatar. So in this example, our avatar is going to be Jackie. And typically, if you think about your business, a lot of people will recall either your best customer, your favorite customer, you know, who really personifies your avatar and give them a name. So like at the agency, you know, our avatar is typically somebody who's female, she's a little bit older, she's not very tech savvy, she needs a little bit more hand holding, she's upper middle class, she's typically white, you know, I can go on and on with our whole avatar, and we've named her Carol. So every time we are talking about growing our business, getting new clients, we use the word Carol. We say, you know, gosh, I think that white paper topic is awesome, but I don't know if Carol's really going to get it. And immediately our whole team, our whole staff knows exactly what we're talking about because Carol is just worked into our marketing and our new biz dev all the time. So that's where I want you to get to is take Jackie or whatever your name of your avatar is and really fold that person into the business. All right, so demographics, I think everybody understands. It's pretty straightforward. So for Jackie and our particular avatar, she's going to be aged 35 to 45. She's female. She's Black and upper middle class. She has a college degree. All of that, you know, really is kind of table stakes, basic information that you'd want to know about your customer. Characteristics gets a little bit more in depth. For Jackie, we understand that she is advanced beginner skill in the craft. So maybe she's just, you know, been a knitter for about a year or so. We know that she's health conscious. We know that she has an urban aesthetic. She lives in the city. She wants kind of things that are newer and on trend. Next, we look at hopes. I really love this particular avatar category, and I think it's overlooked by a lot of people. So let me go through it and then I'll explain more why. So for Jackie, she wants to improve her knitting. She wants to achieve work-life balance. She wants to make a contribution in the world. So with hopes and with pain points, which I'll talk about next, I think that one of the goals of your business is really to meet the hopes, to fulfill the hopes of your customer. And I might even go so far as to argue that what you're selling is hope. So like, for example, I know Dave is on the call. David is one of our guests today. And Jamie was telling me that his business is to have a vacation rental. And he's also an artist. So let's just talk about the vacation rental really quickly. You know, one of the things that I know Dave's customers are they probably have a lot of hope. You know, they're coming to Chaffee County, they're coming to this region, and they're hoping to, you know, make memories with their family. And they're hoping that this place is really going to be the one vacation rental spot that's going to have the games in the cabinet, and it's going to have the warm fireplace that they can use, and it's going to have the beautiful scenery. And so, you know, I think hope is really one of those overlooked marketing needs that you can fill as a business. And I want you to start thinking about how you can meet your customer needs beyond just this person needs a bed and they're going to pay me $100 a night just for that bed. Because if you can meet their needs on all these multiple levels, you're going to have a lot more success as a business owner. Pain points, I think, is exactly the same. If you've got the ability to solve problems for them, like in this case, Jackie doesn't have a lot of free time. She's budget conscious and she's not really confident about her skills. So there again, if you can come up with a marketing strategy that provides products that really meet this pain point, you're going to be a lot more successful. So an example of that might be to offer lower price point knitting kits where all the materials are all put together, because she doesn't have time to do Ravelry or Google searches to find the right needles and the right yarn and the right gauge and the right color. She just wants you to do it all for her. And she's not very confident in her skills. So by the way, she's terrible at choosing colors. So even better, if you can put together little knitting kits with all the same colors that are going to go together, you know, that's going to be perfect. Other examples, just going back to Dave, if you've got a vacation rental, solving some of those pain points of, you know, hey, if I come and stay at your vacation rental and I'm bringing my kids, are there going to be any bikes available for them to use? Is there going to be a pack and play that I can pull out? I don't have to bring my own stuff. Will there be any toys for kids? Or, you know, you're going to help me solve my problems that might be a hurdle for me to come and stay at your vacation rental. So we'll get a little bit deeper into some of these as we go along. All right, so next we're going to talk about how to find Jackie. But really quickly, I just want to look at this chat real quick and just kind of see what we have as far as businesses here. Okay, Becca, marketing assistant for an interior designer, a fitness center. Melissa, I remember you from other talks. Welcome back. Polly, online business, if you can be more specific with what that is, a travel agency, an artist, a rental company. I'm going to assume that's like weddings or like you're renting tents and tables and stuff. Jessica, former ski resort, tourism marketing. Okay, graphic design, marketing. Okay, and then we've got mountain resorts. Okay, so a couple themes here: outdoor sports, that might even tie into the vacation rentals and even the sports fitness training. Okay, so I'll keep that in the back of my mind as we go through, see if I can throw out some specific examples for you. Okay, so how do you find Jackie? This is a question we get a lot. And there's definitely a lot of clever ways that you can figure out who your customer avatar is. So let's go through some of them. I really feel like if you just open your eyes and ears and listen and watch, it's all available for you in plain sight. One of the places that we dig around most frequently is social media posts and comments. If you see somebody positively commenting on one of your products, oh, I love that, or we had a great stay there. then you can click on that person and you can dig a little deeper into their profile. Not surprisingly, it's kind of shocking how much data is readily available out there. If you go into Facebook, for example, you can go into people's profiles and you can see that they're married, and you can see how old they are, and you can see what kind of photos they're posting about things they like. You can scroll down and see what groups they belong to. So you can really start to piece together some of the puzzle parts of their avatar by just doing a little sleuthing and digging in social media. Also stalking and sleuthing about what people want. If they're asking you questions about specific brands or products, that's one way to identify, like in Jackie's case, that she wants kits that are already pre-made, put together. Reviews of your brand and product are another great place to learn about who your avatar is. Face-to-face at shows and events, which I promise you will come back someday, maybe not right now. But I know, like for the fitness center, Melissa, you're probably having some limited capacity, so you are having people come in and do a face-to-face. So that's a place where you can actually see who they are and have conversations with them. SurveyMonkey surveys. A lot of my clients are doing annual satisfaction surveys, and it doesn't hurt for you to just squeeze in a couple of demographic questions. People are usually willing to answer 1 or 2, maybe 3 of those. So that's another great place to gather that. And SurveyMonkey is a third-party platform that you can do surveys for free. Of course, asking questions. If you've got time via email or phone, reach out to your customers and ask them, hey, I saw that you purchased the XYZ product. Is there anything else that you were looking for? Or, just start up a conversation and see if that goes somewhere. You'd be surprised how many times that leads to more information. Newsletters, hopefully you've all got a newsletter. And a couple ways you can use your newsletter for this research. You can check your links to see where people are clicking the most. If you send out a newsletter with 4 or 5 different product offers and everybody's clicking on the first one, that's a pretty good clue that that is a high demand product. And so you can start to hone in on what kinds of hopes and pains that particular product might be satisfying. You can also go to your backend data from your newsletter, as well as your Google console and your social media channels. If you haven't done that, I would give you that homework assignment. Start with installing Google Console so that you have access to your Google Analytics. They have many, many multiple layers of data available to you across all the things I've discussed. Specifically the demographics, some characteristics. You'd be shocked and amazed what you can dig up on the back end, not only of Google, but Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and Twitter. They all have back end data dashboards where you can take a look at the information they're gathering for you to show you who your customers are. All right, so next poll. How many of you have ever heard about the know, like, and trust funnel? We're going to talk about that. Let's get the next poll going. And this one's just a simple yes or no. All right, it looks like the majority, just a slight majority, have never heard of it before. So again, this will be new for you. And about 4 of you have heard of it before. So hopefully the 4 of you that have heard about it have not heard about the second part that I'm going to talk about, which is the marketing hourglass. So that will hopefully be helpful for you. And then for those of you that are not familiar with it at all, that just helps me to know how in depth to go here. So I'm going to give you sort of the quick nutshell view, and then we'll give you some down and dirty examples here. So the know, like, and trust funnel, I like to think about as a little spectrum, as you can see here. So on the one end of the spectrum, you've got the know, then you move into the like, and then you end up in the trust. And your customers, if you think about it, I like to ask my clients to put on your consumer hat for just a quick minute here so that you can better understand the concept. So when you are buying something, you're probably moving through each part of this funnel, right? So you are starting at the know part of the funnel where you're asking questions like, who are you and what do you do and why should I care? And then from there, you move into the like part of the funnel, which is where you're asking questions like, do I like this company? Do I like them? Can I relate to you? And then lastly, the trust part of the funnel, which is, are you an expert? Can you help me? Have others had success with your business? And I also like to point out that I feel like, the way you move through the funnel is going to vary based on what you're offering as a price point on your product. If you think about it, if you're in the Safeway and you're in the checkout line and you're like, gosh, I need gum. You're not going to be like, well, gosh, I need to go home and look up the website for Wrigley's before I make a commitment to buy this pack of gum. And I really need to see some testimonials between, Wrigley's and Double Stuff or whatever other, Orbit, other gum that you're considering. You're not going to do that. You're going to just grab gum and go because it's, a $3 investment. But like in my industry, if somebody's buying a sewing machine, for example, you'd be shocked to know what those things sell for these days, $2,000-$3,000 for a piece of machinery like that. You better bet that somebody's going to spend that time figuring out, what are the best companies? Is this a company I can relate to? You're going to look for testimonials. Another example for most of you on the call today would be when you're buying an expensive vacation. If you're going to spend $5,000, on a family vacation for a week, you're probably going to spend a lot of time moving through these different parts of the funnel, and you're going to be looking for a lot of indicators that are going to give you that assurance to spend that kind of money. All right, so let's look specifically at some of these. So now let's put back on our business hat. And I want you to think about what are the things that you're going to be able to do as a business owner to bolster your business and your marketing strategy at each stage of the funnel. So the first one is getting to know you. Your print and digital advertising are going to be, of course, a great way for customers to learn who you are. If you've got an art gallery, for example, for Dave, or the fitness center. Let's say when Melissa first started her fitness center, nobody knew anything about who she was or where she was opening the doors. She probably took out a print ad in the Mountain Mail or one of the local papers, or did a little bit of digital advertising. Earned media is another place where you can invest in bringing brand new customers into your funnel. Earned media is going to be like an article, a free article in a newspaper. So you might call up, again, the Mountain Mail and say, hey, we're opening a brand new fitness center and we want someone to come down and take photos and write an article. Social media, you're going to see throughout all the different phases of the funnel. We feel like there's a role for social media, which is, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all of your channels in every step of the funnel. User-generated content is going to be that kind of content where people are taking their own photos, for example, and posting it. So for example, if you've got the vacation rental and they're taking photos of what they see in the bedrooms and the kitchens and living rooms, and then they're posting it on TripAdvisor or something like that. That's an example of user-generated content. Referrals from friends and family, of course, we all know what that is. And that's going to be really one of the most powerful ways that people learn about your brand new business. I feel like that's how I learned about a lot of brand new businesses here in Chaffee County or in my life. Hey, did you hear about the new Indian restaurant that's opening up? And no, I didn't. So that's my very first introduction to a brand new business and getting to know them. All right, next we move into the like part of the stages. Your website is going to be one of the most prominent places that people will learn more about your business and read about your story. A blog, if you don't have a blog on your website, is another great tool for you to continue to provide story and talk about your motivation for starting your business, talk about your employees. You can talk about the charity program that's a component of your business. You can do new product launches. I think a blog really helps you stay dynamic with your website presence so that it's not boring and static. Why would someone keep coming back to your website if it's the same boring homepage, right? So if you can introduce a blog, that's a great way for you to continue to give your customers the kind of content they're looking for, to have that affinity with your brand that helps move them through the phases. Newsletter, also another great tool that you should have at all stages. But it works similar to a blog where you're pushing out marketing content that ends up in their inbox, and you're controlling what some of that content is. So it's another great place for you to get them to like you. Social media, like I said, is going to be everywhere on this exercise. And then lastly, the trust part. Of course, I always say this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where everybody wants to be. Because if you can get your customers to trust you, then they're going to buy from you. And we see from statistics and data that the majority of conversions are going to happen in this part of the funnel. And again, if you just click over to your consumer part of your life, I'm sure you can think of your own examples where, once you've really gotten to the place where you trust a brand, you'll buy whatever they're selling, right? I mentioned earlier, I have an 18-year-old daughter, and I think really a lot of her entire generation is Apple consumers. They started young with their little iPods and then their iPads, and then of course they had to have the iPhone. And you would laugh if you saw the look on her face if I suggested, hey, take a look at the Android products. No. And it's really ubiquitous throughout her entire class, her generation. And that's because, Apple has done an amazing job nurturing that relationship and getting those kids to trust them. I think no matter what Apple would sell or offer, they would buy it. So you want that for your customers and your business as well. So a couple of points here on the trust part. Testimonials are a great way for you to instill that trust on your website, your social media postings, reviews. Got an example here for you. If you don't have that on your website, think about where you could put that so that you can start showing other people testimonials. Newsletter, again, great place for you to either include testimonials or other experiences, tell the story of how other customers have experienced your brand. Endorsements from customers customers who already trust you. Another name for this is like influencers. All of you are familiar with like Kim Kardashian, is probably the most popular influencer. And again, if I don't know anything about a product, but I trust the person who's telling me to buy it in an influencer sphere, it's sort of an expanded version of your friends and family referrals. If I see that, it looks like somebody's got their mic on. Let me see participants. Let's make sure everybody's muted here. Well, I don't see a mic off, but I do hear some background noise. So if somebody, if you guys want to just make sure you keep your microphones off. Thank you. All right. So we were talking about influencers. If Kim Kardashian tells me to go ahead and buy something because I trust Kim, then I'm going to just go ahead and try that shampoo or try those new shoes or whatever that happens to be. And you'll find that across brands everywhere you look now with social media. And then again, user-generated content. We find, at least in our industry, that it doesn't always have to be big name influencers. Really just even the smallest example of somebody generating content that promotes your brand. And there's ways that you can try to solicit user-generated content and encourage people to do that, which I'll give you an example of later in the presentation. Even, micro influencers, micro bloggers, sometimes it's just even one person who posts a beautiful photograph of your product or an experience, and then other people will see that and buy. All right. So from here, we can expand the marketing concept to what we call the marketing hourglass. And you can see we start with the know, like, and trust part of the funnel. But in recent years, we've really expanded that to the try, buy, repeat, and refer component, which encapsulates not only the initial interaction between your business and your customer, but really describes more of a prolonged relationship that you're going to have with your customer after after they make that first purchase. We know from statistics that 60 to 70% of people buy from, they have repeat sales from existing customers versus the revenue that you're generating from brand new customers. So we know securing new customers, of course, is incredibly important to your business, but capturing and holding on to your existing customers is going to be even more important. So we want to spend some time talking about the last 4 components of the hourglass so that you're making sure you're investing your time and energy in those as well. Okay, so getting to try you. Of course, once you've earned the trust of your customer, it's time to get them to that next step where they're willing to try your wares. This try stage is really forwarding and continuing that last stage of the trust. It's really that next step forward. We like to think about this as kind of the point at which your customer is at the top thin neck of the hourglass, right? So it's that part right at the top. Again, we'll talk about what the bottom looks like. But we consider this to be a little bit more of like a delicate area. So because if you can get your customers to try you, right, then you've got your foot in the door's a little bit open, and you're on your way to having a repeat customer. We also feel like customer service and their satisfaction is going to be really important at this particular stage. All right, I'm going to play this quick video. Let me actually go see what goes first here. The video.
I'm Mike.
This is a video with Dollar Shave Club, and I love their whole marketing concept, which is that you can buy a product, try it for just $1. That's your only price to play. And so I love their whole strategy, and I thought it's kind of entertaining.
Under
So we'll play it
dollarshaveclub.com. What is dollarshaveclub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer.
Okay, I'm just going to pause really quickly because I want you to be thinking about what we talked about on your customer avatar. So he's already identified one of the pain points is price and paying. Do you really want to pay $20 a month for your blades? No, I'm going to solve that problem with my product.
I'm good at tennis.
And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, Papa. Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you.
Another example of him addressing a pain point that every month you're forgetting to go to Walgreens and buy your blades. So he's going to solve your problem by sending those to you.
We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are dollarshaveclub.com, and the party is on.
Okay, so I think you get the gist of it. And then again, just to reiterate, earlier we said that Jackie, one of the things that she was interested in is, making a contribution. And so again, he's hitting on that point of, we are creating US-based jobs with our company, and by purchasing Dollar Shave Club, you are supporting jobs in America. So again, if he knows his avatar really well, he knows that that's something that's important to them. So he's making sure that he's including that in some of his marketing materials. So I want you all to get to that place as well. All right, so let's see if I can get us back to just the bullet points. Yeah, so making sure that you're providing informative content like videos, blogs, etc., to supplement your product offering. You can't just have an attitude of I will build it and they will come. You've really got to support your effort with your business with all different aspects of marketing. Does your social media support your products with tutorials and testimonials? Of course, we talked about how important that is. And then are you responsive within a reasonable time frame, whether that's in person and online? Again, this is another example of how you've got to take care of the lower part of the hourglass. You can't just sell a product and then walk away. You've got to make sure you've got excellent follow-up with good customer service, because that's what's going to be an important component to bringing your customers back. And then how engaged or reachable are you as a presence? I think that ties in with the customer service as well. Okay, next is the getting to buy you. At this point, again, another delicate stage, because not every customer conversion is going to translate into additional future purchases. Now we're in the lower middle hourglass where the customers made their first purchase. And as I stated previously, retaining that new customer as a future customer is invaluable. So that one-time purchase should not be your goal. But keep in mind, the first time that they purchase from you, they are having a judgment experience, right? They're deciding whether or not the process is smooth and easy. So let's just take a look at some of these important points. How easy is it for them to check out on your cart page? I always recommend to clients that they do a web user experience test, whether that's you or you ask a few friends or some family, but to go through step by step the whole process of buying something on your website and how easy is it to check out. Take a look at whether or not you have the ability to minimize clicks and pages. You know, how many steps does it take to actually get to the buy now process? If you look at some of the bigger retailers out there, like Amazon, for example, you know, they've got one-click buying because they know that that's an advantage. The fewer clicks, the better it's going to be for your business. How many different forms of payment do you accept? You're going to want to offer, you know, credit cards and Venmo or PayPal or, you know, whatever options that your cart might provide as an option. We recommend more is better there. Do you then have a follow-up mechanism? Are you sending out a thank you or a confirmation email? Do they get shipment details? How do they even know that you know you've received their order? And then, of course, as I've mentioned before, customer service is just so paramount. How fast is your response time when people have complaints or questions or concerns? And then lastly, if you're not familiar, you can investigate something called abandoned cart notifications. This is a plug-in tool available. Sometimes it's already built into some third-party programs where if someone is shopping and they don't get to the place of conversion, the algorithm knows that they were on the website and they were looking at a certain product. So they can then trigger an email that comes into your inbox that says, hey, did you forget to finish out your purchase? Or sometimes you can even use that as retargeting, which I know some of you know on the consumer side, which is sort of that creepy marketing experience where you know, you're browsing on Google for a pair of new sneakers, and then the next time you log into Facebook, there's an ad for those sneakers. That's kind of the same back-end mechanism, which is called retargeting. So that's a little bit more sophisticated, but just want you to be aware of that. And then getting to repeat purchases. Of course, this is the golden egg. We want you all to have customers that are coming back time and time again to buy from you. So how do you convert those one-time loyal customers into loyal long-term customers? Well, you can send out that follow-up email to check in on a previous purchase. We have a client, for example, that sells high-end yarn spinning wheels, and they're about, you know, $500 to $700. And so he will sell the wheel, and then, you know, 3 or 4 weeks later, he'll send an automated follow-up email that says, how are things going with your wheel? Here's a couple video tutorials on how to take your wheel to the next level, or he's got helpful tips and tricks on how to maintain your wheel. And so he has this sort of nurturing sequence that he does through email several weeks later. And even one of them is, you know, hey, do you need fiber? Do you need the yarn for your wheel? And so he has this whole full system, and I would encourage you to think about how you might be able to extrapolate that for your business. Loyalty and rewards programs are fantastic. That encourages future purchases. And, like a great example of that is Chewy. I have 2 dogs, and I do their auto ship program, and they give me certain rewards and discounts for that loyalty. So, I'm not going to jump in the car and go to Murdoch's because I don't have time for that. I'm going to do my online delivery of the dog food because, again, it's solving one of my problems, which is forgetting to go get dog food at the right amount of time, at the right timing. So think about how you might be able to implement those for your business. You can see an example here of DSW shoes where they're giving you a point system, and once you've earned a certain amount of points, you get a discount. Again, I'm sure everybody listening out there can think about this for their consumer life and an experience they've had. Coupons off your next purchase, free shipping are fairly common ways to get repeat purchases. And then just showing interest in your customers, asking for their birthday, for example, and doing a discount when their birthday comes up. And then, as always, make sure your customer service is chef's kiss. All right, lastly, getting to refer you. This is a super important component of your business. Your customer loves to shop with you. They want to shop frequently, and you have really little control over how they're going to be talking about you or your product or your brand in daily life. But we want you to make it easy for them to offer referrals and put those out into the world so that other customers can see that and get them to that trust funnel as quickly as possible. We recommend that you innovate with a hashtag that's specific to your brand that will highlight either your business or your product and encourage customers to use it. You can see an example here, hashtag Alexandria X Friends Collection, and they're offering a specific giveaway to elicit reviews of their product. So you can do that as well. I recommend that you do something that's random. So you might say, for the reviews that we're getting, we'll randomly give away a prize, and you use a random number generator to select that winner, because you don't want to get into a situation where it's, quid pro quo. You do a review of my product and then I'll give you something for free. Definitely that's a questionable way of going about your marketing. But there are ways you can gently prod and elicit your customers for reviews. Discounts or giveaways, as I just mentioned. Okay, so what I want to do now is give you guys a step-by-step example of all the different components of the marketing hourglass with a real example. And this is going to be the full customer journey. So you can kind of see, what does it look like at each step of the way with a real live business. So Tom Bin, if you're not familiar, they're an American manufacturer of backpacks and luggage accessories and bags. And they've got a strong social media presence and great customer service. So I had a recent purchase with them, and I want to just walk you through what my perception was going through that. So of course, I did not know about them or what they did. They had, about 3 or 4 years ago, a really robust crossover from just regular luggage and handbags into the knitting world. They really broke into knitting project bags, came on the scene really robustly. So I first saw them in a blog review, this Geek Girl Crafts, where they did a review of the Swift bag, which they designed specifically for knitters. So I started seeing reviews on Ravelry, which is a social media site specific to knitters, on their forum, in their social media posts, of course, on the internet. And I just sort of became curious about what was all this hullabaloo about these fantastic bags. After that, I started to just kind of pay more attention to what was happening on the scene. I decided to sign up for the newsletter, and so I started getting more information about how this bag can solve some of my knitting organization problems, which I liked. I started seeing social posts from other people where they had their knitting projects, and then they showed a photo of it, which I thought was kind of cool. Excuse me. As I said earlier, you as a company, you're going to want to make sure that, excuse me, you're always specifying how your product is going to make their life easier, better, more beautiful, more convenient, more creative. How are you going to fill that void? So again, after I signed up for the newsletter, I got emails and helpful videos on how their bag might help solve some of my problems. I started following their channels on social media, which led me to more photos of their bags, in the wild. And then I kind of moved into this trust part of the funnel, where I could see on their community forums, and they actually did a group in Ravelry, which I frequented a lot, that I could read, their customer service, and it gave me a little bit more trust that, they were doing a really good job. They also had a website chat function, and I could see they were responsive in a certain amount of time. So then I decided, all right, I'm going to give them a try. I wanted to order a specific colorway. And so I emailed them to see if they could do this little color combo that I was interested in. I did get updated status emails. I was able to talk to a real person. And for me, the process of ordering was super smooth and painless. And then we move into that next part of the hourglass, where they are trying to solicit me to have repeat purchases. And luckily for them, I was already at this place where I had a lot of trust with the brand and the company. So when the pandemic hit, I noticed that they were starting to sell face masks. And they also instituted at that time a one-for-one model, which, if you're familiar with, is you buy something like Tom's Shoes is a good example of this. You buy one shoe and then they'll send a shoe to a child in need. Well, they decided to implement the same thing. If you buy a mask, they give one to a healthcare worker. And that checked the box for me, something I was definitely interested in. And so I went ahead and ordered two for my family without reservation. And then I got to this referral place, right? I had the bag, I was using it, I was loving it. I was continuing to be an ambassador for the brand. I had gotten the masks, I had loved that. My sister was telling me she was trying to hand sew masks and having trouble. And so of course I was like, oh gosh, you need to try these Tom Bin ones. These are awesome. So I was already starting to refer the products from the company. And without realizing it, I had then become a small marketing bullhorn for Tom Bin through my referral efforts. And so, this is what you really want the place you want to arrive at. But I want to point out that more importantly, all along the process, it never felt that way. It never felt like I was being forced into advocating for the brand. And I think going back to the Apple example, that's the same as what they have cultivated. It is a small little cult, if you will, of people that buy those products, and they're so loyal, and they're just really passionate about those brands and those products. So this is what I hope for you, where you'll arrive if you take time to be conscientious about how you can support your marketing strategy at all stages of the know, like, and trust, and the remaining hourglass, the buy, try part of our marketing system. And I look forward to hearing back from you how that goes. So I see we're at about 10:50. I want to make sure that I give you my contact information. As Jamie mentioned earlier at the hour, we do offer free consulting through our SBDC consultant network. Not just me, I tend to specialize in the marketing and social media realm, but we have, I believe, 8 consultants right now that can provide you with help in every aspect of your business. But if you do want to reach out to me and get more specific help about this presentation, or really anything related to marketing or social media, I am available to help you. So I will pass it back to Jamie. I think we'll have a little bit of time for questions, and then don't go away because I know that Jamie wants to talk to you, share some information about some amazing upcoming workshops that she has planned, as well as a whole library of on-demand content that you can access at your leisure to help you build your brand and your business. So thank you everybody for your time today, and I'll give it over to Jamie.
And Leanne, I thought while we're waiting for people to either unmute themselves and ask a question, or put it in the chat, or raise their hand, I was thinking of questions while you were talking.
Okay.
One for me specifically, because I feel like I'm still in the know, like, and trust with our new center.
Okay.
Are there ways to use YouTube to kind of engage and develop trust? And if so, what are some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for you specifically to promote your business, we can talk about some examples there, but generally speaking, I would say video in general is going to be one of the most effective tools for your marketing in general. And so if you have the time and energy to create a YouTube channel, yes, absolutely. You know, I've already seen examples, Jamie, of how you're doing a great job with that. I think the whole storytelling series that you had, where you're showing profiles of businesses, and you just had these really beautiful and entertaining videos about the region and the area. And then you insert a little section about how the SBDC can help your business. I think lends itself to the trust part of the funnel. You know, for other businesses, I can tell you, we in our area of expertise, tons of our clients use YouTube for creating that knowledge base. So they might have tips or tricks or tutorial videos that go out on their YouTube channel, showing people, you know, how to use the product, or how to be a better knitter, or teaching them new skills. You know, if we go back to the Jackie example, we know that Jackie was an advanced beginner and she wasn't really very confident in her skills. So for that particular business owner to start generating YouTube video content that supports Jackie is going to lead them down that path of keeping her as a customer, because they're meeting her needs through the video content.
And then my husband is an artist, and he has some great paintings, and he shares them on Instagram, even sometimes during, you know, a timeline of when he painted them. He shares them on Facebook. But how do you get those people? They find you on social channels, but how do you convert them over to website?
Yeah. Well, I would say I would start with looking at what the content is. You know, as I've always said, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And so if they're only seeing David's end product and they're not seeing anything about who he is, how he got started, what his story is, what he's passionate about, why does he choose the subject matter? You know, if I don't know anything beyond just a flat, here's the end product piece of art, then I think you're really missing the opportunity to tell his story and to bring people in to the process, right? So to drive more traffic over to the website from social channels, I would just focus on the content and add more content in about who he is, what he's passionate about. You know, the video content might be him actually painting. I don't know what kind of art he does, but, you know, let's just make something up. You know, if he's a plein air painter, have a really cool story video about him packing up his stuff and getting in his car, and how does he pick where he's going to go, and show him setting up his materials and his easel, and showing some of the actual painting. You know, like, bring me into the story, because if I like him and I like what he's doing and I can relate and I have an affinity to his brand, I'm more likely to buy his painting. And I can tell you 100% that the majority of artwork that I specifically have in my house is from people I know. It's from all local artists that I've either met at Art Walk, I listen to their stories, I know them as people. That's the kind of art I want hanging in my house, you know, that has the story and that connection to people behind it. So I would encourage him to just focus more on that.
Cool. And then this is I don't see questions yet, so you guys keep sharing and have some questions that you can add, but I have another one for you.
Yeah.
You have done quite a few workshops for us on Etsy, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram. I'm trying to think. 7 steps on the website. You're about to do website 101. Once they attend these sessions, because we offer the confidential consulting and they can request you, how do you help them actually use this with their business?
I would say most of the time it's that a client has a general understanding of what we talked about. Like, oh, I kind of understand that in theory, but when it comes to my business, I don't know the mechanics of how to do it. So I might give them tips, for example, on, hey, you need to really be out there with a social media presence. But the actual practical, tactical day-to-day piece, they can't put that together. So then what we do on the one-on-one session is we might sit down and actually work on an Excel spreadsheet of a marketing strategy plan, where I help them identify what channels they're going to be posting on. We brainstorm together on, what kind of topic they're going to talk about for a specific month, and then how do they do the mechanics of that. So they go from sort of a theoretical understanding through my presentation to the one-on-one consulting, where we're actually getting down to brass tacks and we're doing the work. We're getting to that nitty-gritty. So that's probably the most common thing is, putting it into a practical application.
Okay, and Becca is asking, how do you gain trust when our services are high priced, no lower end product basically?
Okay, let me scroll back, Becca, and see what your business was. Interior design. Okay, so Becca, my suspicion is that you're going to be doing more of a luxury product strategy. And if you do case studies or you take a look at how luxury brands market themselves, I think it's really heavily weighted on that hope and fear component of your avatar. So you really need to understand how your customer moves through the world based on their hopes and their fears. So I'm guessing that if you're going to get somebody to spend, I don't know what, $10,000, $15,000 on hiring you to do an interior design, it's because you're fulfilling their needs either for self-affirmation that they have a beautiful house, or the keeping up with the Joneses thing. So I would probably appeal to them based on that. And then you're also going to need to heavily rely on the testimonials. Specifically, I would try to seek out testimonials from influential people. And in a small community like ours, that might be, people that have influence in the community, like people in city government, or business owners of the banks or bigger businesses, or that kind of thing, because that's where some of the referrals are going to come from, right? I used Becca to do my whole house, and you have to do that too. And because now I just feel great, and every time I have these awesome parties and people just rave about how gorgeous my kitchen is, right? So just to summarize a couple things, look towards that trust part of the funnel as a predominant way to focus on your business, and appeal to their fears and their hopes in some of your marketing messaging. That's probably the way I'd go about it.
Okay, and then Olivia asked, how do I request for free consulting? And I put that in the chat, the hot link, but for those that are listening to the recording, you just go to centralsbdc.org and then click on the consulting and say request an initial appointment. And so Leanne, I got another question for you, because I've been working with startups.
Okay.
We've had so many kind of come to our rural area. And we're talking now about you start and scale your business. So once you've identified your avatar and you have success with them, how do you think about taking that avatar and either creating a new product or service? Is there like a process, or, how would you address that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it brings to mind an example of a client that I had, kind of a funny story. And I know we're getting to the top of the hour, so I'll make it quick. But she found that she had constructed this whole business around a certain kind of avatar. And then, which the avatar was sort of homeschool moms that were creating dolls for the Waldorf niche. I know this is like super nichey. So she was selling fiber that was used to make the hair for the dolls. And so she had created this whole avatar and whole market for that. And then one day she woke up and was like, well, I think that this yarn could really be used in a luxury setting too. I mean, it's high-end, expensive stuff. And so then she came to our agency wanting to do a whole marketing plan for, sort of East and West Coast high-end, super rich knitters. Well, those two avatars were like, could not have been farther apart on the spectrum. So, my advice to her was really to stick to the niche that she had already developed and just try to expand out from that center circle marginally, not have like a completely different avatar, at least not at the stage she was at with a brand new startup business. Maybe with a more mature business, yeah, you can find other ways that your product meets other needs and you can expand into multiple avatars. That's absolutely no problem. But for a brand new startup business, I would probably try to stay as close in that swim lane as I could with the avatar that I already knew I was successful with.
Thank you. And thank you, as always, Leanne. It's
You're
such
welcome.
a pleasure having you join us. And if you could switch to the next slide.
There it is.
Just want to make sure you all know about these incredible spring training events. I'm also going to put them in the chat for you to share in. The first is coming up next is actually Finance Fridays. And then we will have the loans, 10 considerations on how to position your company for a small business loan. The business model canvas, how to do a business plan on one page, and lots of others, including 2 more that Leanne's going to be sharing, Website 101, as well as maximizing Google rankings. Next slide. And next, we have lots of on-demand sessions as well, from startups to scaling, financial support with cash flow. Another session that, or sessions that Leanne had done with your freshen up your websites, Shopify and Etsy. And her Shopify and Etsy are such good training curriculums. I've had centers as far as Virginia contacting me and saying, can you share your Etsy training? So Leanne, bravo, you're starting to be known.
Oh, I'm a national, yeah, national.
Yeah. So I put those links in the chat, and we will be sending you out a follow-up recording of this, as well as the slide deck. And I think that's the last slide, but I'm not. Oh, there you go. So these are the next 3 upcoming sessions: the loans, Website 101, and maximizing Google sales. So thank you everyone for joining us. You can reach us on all the socials. We have a YouTube channel, as Leanne mentioned, and certainly our website. Bye.